Breaking news, folks, we have a major Harry Potter recasting, but no, it's not the one you may have been hoping for. Kit Harington, Jon Snow himself, has joined the Harry Potter show as Gilderoy Lockhart, replacing Nicholas Hoult, who dropped out because of a scheduling conflict. And I'm just going to call BS on that. Look, it's more than possible there's been a big shift behind the scenes, and Hoult cannot commit to the role anymore. It could be relating to James Gunn presents James Gunn's Superman Man of Tomorrow. Or maybe he's got another role in the pipeline that is filming around the same time as season 2 of Harry Potter. He could be out of town promoting a project. Or maybe, just maybe, his agent doesn't think Harry Potter is the right career move for him anymore, and they've pulled off the old scheduling conflicts to get out of the deal. Guys, I don't want to be cynical, but I'm just not buying it. HBO announced Hoult just a couple weeks ago, so why didn't both sides see this coming? I'm just going to get to the point. Certain accounts online are calling for a Harry Potter boycott, even going as far as to harass and bully actors associated with the brand. They called out Hoult for joining the show, thus supporting the evil J.K. Rowling. So how's that boycott going? Hogwarts Legacy was the best-selling game of 2023, the full cast audiobooks dropped not long ago, and there's no way in hell the new show doesn't hit insane numbers when the show airs at Christmas. So I'm going to go with the theory that Hoult's team saw 5 accounts on Twitter calling him out for joining the Harry Potter show, and he jumped ship. And then HBO turned to the actor they probably should have cast in the very first place, who voiced Lockhart in the audiobook. And here's what Kit Harington had to say. Yeah, you're the first person I'm talking to about this. It just got released. I'm thrilled. I've said a million times for anyone who cares that I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I've got to be honest, he's one of my favourite characters, so to be offered to play him is a real dream. I think he's going to be so fun. You said I got to play him in the audiobooks. That's not the exact way I'll play him in the show because it's an audiobook, but I've had a taste of him and felt my way around him. He's just a wonderful creation. Not too sure about that last line, Kit. Make sure that isn't taken out of context. And to be honest, I wasn't bored with Hoult's casting as Lockhart. I felt it was good casting. But what's funny is the one time he was successful in a Harry Potter role, he left on his own accord. In case you don't know, Hoult auditioned for Harry and Draco back in the day. He even tried out for Newt Scamander in Fantastic Beasts. I even recall him trying out for Batman and Superman. He doesn't have much luck, but what can you do? At least, unlike with Ginny, who has also been recast, no scenes of Lockhart were filmed. And I'm happy for Kit Harington. And as I say, if I was in charge, if I was the guy with all the money, making all the calls, I would have hired Kit Harington in the very first place. Obviously, we won't see Lockhart until season 2, but Kit joining the cast is a big deal. And I'm sure there'll be speculation on Hoult's exit for many years to come. But let's keep the focus on Kit. He's a massive Harry Potter fan, as he says, and he's made no secret he was interested in joining this show after his portrayal as the Wizarding World's most famous fraud in the Chamber of Secrets audiobook. And Lockhart, who you all know, is a wizard obsessed with fame. He wrote several best-selling books detailing his run-ins with dangerous dark creatures, but all of which never really happened. He only took credit for what other wizards had done, using his talent and memory charms to get away with it. He somehow got the job of Defense Against the Dark Arts professor during Harry's second year at Hogwarts. But at the end of the year, he was on the receiving end of one of his own memory charms and spent the remainder of his days at St. Mungo's Hospital. But he did make a brief appearance in Order of the Phoenix, which was one of the many cool moments of Book 5 that the films cut. And one of the biggest selling points of the upcoming show is it'll include all the characters and plot lines that never made it on screen. So if Kit's still on board, you can bet he shows up in season 5. Or maybe Hoult will get his chance then, for his 5-minute cameo. It almost feels like the curse of the Defense Against the Dark Arts is real. But I'm sure you all know Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, where he played the bastard Jon Snow, who joined the Night's Watch, later becoming their Lord Commander, fell in love with a wildling girl, got murdered by his own men, came back from the dead, was crowned king in the north, bent the knee to Daenerys Targaryen, rode a couple dragons, found out he was a secret Targaryen himself, fought in the Long Night against the White Walkers, murdered his beloved aunt/girlfriend, and spent the remainder of his life beyond the wall with the free folk in exile. Kit was working with HBO and George R.R. Martin on a Jon Snow sequel, but from everything we've read about that plot, we should be grateful it never saw the light of day. But Kit's past relationship with HBO was likely a big selling point, and I'm sure some executives were rubbing their hands at having one of the most recognisable faces from Thrones on board the new Harry Potter show. And I know some of you guys will have never listened to the audiobooks. Highly recommend them, by the way. If you are wanting to catch up on Philosopher's Stone before Christmas, that's your chance. Maybe that's a new environment for you. Maybe you've never listened to audiobooks. Maybe you've only listened to the Stephen Fry version. And as I say, you've probably not seen Kit outside of Thrones, or maybe you've just seen him in Marvel's Eternals. But I think we should remember that during his run in Thrones and the years after, Kit was typecast as the heroic warrior dude. And those roles clearly limited his ability. And you could tell towards the end of Thrones he was checked out, but his portrayal as Lockhart in the audiobooks was very well received. And fans were calling out for him to get the live action role. And as I say, he should have got it from the very beginning. But some fans also wanted to see him as Sirius Black. And if you go by looks alone, Kit would have been a great choice. And in another universe, that could have been something very special. But personally, I'm very happy he's playing Lockhart. But for argument's sake, let's just say Nicholas Hoult's scheduling conflict was genuine, and let's just say he's willing to rejoin the series in the future. What other role could you see him take on? Perhaps Lupin, Sirius Black, maybe the voice of Creature, or perhaps you have another character in mind. Personally, I still think there's more to his exit, and we will never see him in the Wizarding World. It's not uncommon for the old scheduling conflict excuse to be used. Hollywood does it all the time. But I just find it so ironic. He finally got a job on Potter after so many tries, after all these years, but he had to pull out. Of course, there's going to be a lot more Potter news coming in the next few days. We have that massive Back to Hogwarts event on the 1st of September. I expect a new trailer for the show, maybe some cast announcements as well. Perhaps the new Ginny, the voice of Dobby, Arthur Weasley, or even young Tom Riddle. I still think they're keeping Voldemort a secret until the episodes, but I think it makes perfect sense for them to have a big headline to go alongside the new trailer. I feel Kit would have fit the bill perfectly, but because it was a recast, I feel they wanted to get it out ASAP. Let's just hope they have something else planned to fill the void. But guys, let me know your thoughts on Kit Harington as Gilderoy Lockhart. As I say, I'm a big fan, always have been. Jon Snow was my favourite character in Thrones, so I'm down with it. We are now 4 months away from the release of the new show. It still has a lot to prove in my eyes. Still not a fan of the casting choice for Snape. Obviously come back for the new trailer breakdown next week. And all the big Harry Potter news in the coming months. Longtime subs know that Fantastic Beasts was massive around here. And I'm willing to give the new show a chance. But as I say, only time will tell. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon!